Hello, this is the Speakers Lounge. I am Meredith. I am here with one of my favorite humans on the planet. His name is Blaine Sundrud. I'll get that. Did I say your last name right? I don't think I've ever said it out loud.
It's Sundred. It's like hundred.
Sundrud.
It's just not spelled the same.
I never have said it out loud. Isn't that
That's
weird?
right.
Until
Yeah.
now in front of an audience, but that's fine. I get to do this every month, and it's the first Monday at noon Eastern time of every month. I bring on a different guest that's going to help you as a speaker. And today I have Blaine, who works with AWS, Amazon AWS. And the thing that we're going to geek out on today is how to bring more human into your technical talks. Now, of course, at Amazon AWS, we're talking about engineers, we're talking about software. However, I feel this is also an applicable conversation to those of you who are in the sciences or the medical fields, who are even financial advisors, people who have to get to give technical talks. So, Blaine, thank you for being here today. I'm so excited for this conversation about how we can help technically oriented communities better present so that they're truly reaching their customers. So why don't you go ahead and just do a little brief introduction, talk to us a little bit about what you do necessarily with Amazon AWS and maybe how we met.
Sure. So, first of all, excited to be here. I love this program. I'm glad I get a chance to chat with you and your audience here. Little bit about myself and my background with AWS. I've been with the company for over 10 years, which in the tech world means you get to look at the gray in my beard and understand that that's been a long time. Um, Done a number of things here at AWS. I've been a technical trainer. I've worked on the curriculum side, building out classroom materials for people that are trying to learn the software, a wide range of things, especially working with the AWS speaker programs where I spent the last few years with. And actually, Meredith, that's where I got a chance to meet you as we were looking for people to bring in to expand the quality of speakers at AWS. Your name was on the top of the list of people we wanted to engage with. So it was a great chance getting to know you there. But the goal of speaker programs is something that you from the audience probably understand, and that is a need to change your audience, not from a sales buy my stuff perspective, but from a can you use your stuff in a way that helps you out. Whether you're in the medical profession, whether you're in telecom, whether you're in deep tech like I am, you've got customers that could have better lives, better careers if they would get a chance to use what you have, to use your methods. And so your job as a speaker is going to be to change their behavior.
Mm.
The work I do is about changing what you do from show and tell to actually modifying the way the people in front of you think, the way they act, the way they behave.
I love that. So tell me, give me one, let's just say I am someone that comes to you and I have developed this software, right? And I just come to you with all of this architecture and this data dump, and I just talk endlessly about the features. What is one note that you're going to give me?
Sure. Well, we'll start with the fact that I'm sure you're a nice person, and Meredith, you are a very nice
Thank
person.
you.
I don't care about your data dump. I don't care about your feature set. None of that matters to me as the audience, as the person that you're trying to talk to, because that's really only interesting to you, the amount of work you put into it, the amount of features that are in your product. What I care about is me. And as much as I'd like to think I'm not a selfish person, my subconscious, and honestly everyone's subconscious,
Mhm.
really only cares about themselves. So
Mhm.
the first thing that I'm going to advise you as a presenter is to stop thinking about your own product and start thinking about what is the problem the customer is facing that they have not been able to solve yet, that your features will in fact happen to be able to solve. But don't talk to me about those features until you clarify the problem.
I love this. And the thing I love to say is that there's a human at the end of every product. That is the user, as we like to say. And so, how is it that we can make our presentations more human by what you just said, which is addressing the problem, which is the pain point, which is where the feeling lives. And oftentimes I feel like that's what's lacking. And I just want to give a shout out to Sia. Thank you for being here because I know you have a live that's happening today. And she says, "Oh hell no, no speeds and feeds. Talk, please."
Well, let's actually address that.
Yeah.
There is a place for speeds and feeds, but that's at the end. That's after you've established the fact that what you are currently doing is not fast enough to solve the problem that you have. You are not able to address your customers' needs
Mm.
because you're only operating at 180 bits or whatever. And wouldn't it be nice if you could get 25% more? What could you do with that 25% more? And then, and only then, is that conversation valuable? You simply drop a slide on the board saying, you've got 240. I'm going to go, okay. Uh, Congratulations.
So what I'm hearing you say here, Blaine, is that you essentially need to develop two things with your audience first. One is trust, and the other one is credibility.
I love that. And this is why changing your focus, not from what do I have, but what is your problem, how well I understand it. That is that first part. That's that trust.
Yep.
And if you simply come to me with one more product to sell me, I mean, I look around my room. I got enough product. I do not need one more product, one more login with a password. That's the last thing I need. I don't need more features. What I need is for my problems to go away. And if you're not looking at that, then I'm not. I mean, again, you're a nice person. Let's go have a drink, but I'm not going to be buying things from you.
Okay, so then help me here then. How is it, because you're blowing my mind, Blaine, this engineer brain of mine. How am I going to build trust? Like, what do you mean by that? How do I build trust with my audience and credibility so that I can talk to them about how this is going to be their solution?
I will. I'm going to give a little bit of Amazon corporate identity here to answer
Please.
that question.
Yeah.
Again, I've been working with for 10 years. One of the big things at Amazon, the entire corporation, is the idea of working from the customer backwards.
Uh-huh.
That as an engineer, it's not about what more can you put into a software, what more features can you add. It's about understanding what the customer wants to do, what they need to do. It's about spending more time listening. Can't believe I have to say that word, but we do. Seriously, spending more time working with, listening, embedding yourself with the customer to understand what their real problems are. And by the way, boardroom questionnaires are never going to give you the real problem because they're not going to admit what's really bothering them. You have got to become the customer. It's why I love engineers who come to the company that were the customer, that actually were
Mm.
doing what's out there. Don't just come straight from university with a coding degree and think you're going to understand the customer. Spend time in the field. And then to build that trust, going to your part, by working from the customer backwards, you start by saying, what is the outcome I need? How do I get to that outcome? Which then determines what features and then what code is there. It's not what can you write, it's what can you solve. That trust, then, when you have the conversation, and you might not be the engineer, which becomes the problem. The engineer might have understood what they wanted, and they'll tell you, here's the feature I built, but they're not going to explain why that's what the customer needs. So if you're presenting, now you've got to figure out what the engineer might have known. You've got to translate their understanding and once again establish with your audience what are the situations they are facing, why they have not been able to solve it yet, even though your audience is smart. It is not because that they didn't know how to push the button. How do you get them to now push the button? that becomes your task. But if you're simply saying, look at all these buttons I've got, there's no trust.
I love this, and I'm gonna compare this to the creative process, if you don't mind, because that and the other thing about Blaine, not only I will also say, not only have you worked at Amazon AWS for 10 years, but you're a little bit of a legend there. Like I feel like I'm hanging out with the popular kid at school when I'm with you at reInvent because everyone's like, it's Blaine. And also what I love is that you have a theater background.
Yes.
So we both get to geek out on the theater arts as well, because we're both theater nerds. But the thing I'm hearing you say in that, which I have found as an artist and someone who has developed performance and other artistic forms, is it's about subtraction. It's about less is more. It's
Yeah.
about and I was even watching, I don't know if you've been watching The Bear on Hulu. That's a little bit of a, it's such a freaking good
Love
show.
the bear.
You either love it or you hate it, and that's what art
Yep.
is. You either love it or you hate it. But I love it. Also worked in fine dining for a while, and you and I also enjoy eating good food, which is another thing that we have in common. But
Oh, yes.
it's about, and then just like in this new season, I think it was in episode 2 or something. It's just about like learning how to subtract from the dish so that the person who's receiving it can can taste every single flavor, and they just beautifully work together in concert in your mouth. And I feel that that's true with good art. I feel that that's also true for our engineers as well, which is what I'm hearing you say. Less is more.
You know, I to first of all, to admit, I have not started season 3 yet of The Bear because I'm waiting for a few more episodes to drop so I can binge.
Okay, I
Um,
won't give away too much. Is a
but
it's
but that idea of less is more, of reducing things down.
yeah,
If you look at the arc of, let's play with cooking. If you look at the
yeah,
arc of cooking, first thing you do is you learn to scramble an egg. And, you just have heat, you put an egg in, you scramble it. And then you realize, oh, this will taste better if I put onions in and mushrooms. And then you start putting everything in, because now you're exploring all the things you can do. But then you're right. The master chefs say, okay, what do I now take out?
yes.
And what still gives me the most impact?
Hmm.
So, as a technical presenter in, again, whatever field you're in, the deeper you are in the tech, the more of an expert you are, the more you could talk for hours about all the things, which doesn't help your customer in the moment. It doesn't help that human. So
No,
it's reducing it down to, what is the problem? How do you solve that? And if there are other problems, that's great. You save those for the next conversation, the next dish, the next loop. You send yourself through the cycle. And yeah, I've been classically theater trained. You hit those beats. Each one of
mhm,
those beats needs to be clear. What is the problem? How am I solving it? Once you solve that, it might change the next problem. Now that I've solved this, here's my next problem, here's my next solution. But each beat is discrete, each beat is unique.
I love that. Each beat is discreet and each beat is unique. I think that just needs to be quoted when we release this as a podcast. Thank you.
There we go.
You're welcome. There was something else you just said in there, and then I may have lost it in my brain. I did. I lost it.
Okay.
Okay, it'll come back probably. See, I like to admit when things. I always like to model what people are afraid of.
Oh, it is totally okay to lose your thread. I love doing large presentations. I will do week-long classes, deep dive into like the neuroscience of your audience's brain,
Oh,
and
so good.
people will get sidebars, and in the middle of a sidebar, I will go, I have no idea where I'm going with this. Full stop, reset. What do I want to talk about? Restart and go. If you've built the trust with the audience, they will appreciate a full stop and restart. That is not a problem.
No, because they can see. Well, and I also feel that your audiences, like you have pointed out already, are pretty smart people. Like
Yeah.
they can kind of see when people are nervous, when they're floundering, when they forgot. And you don't need to stop and call it out. You just
No,
need to stop and say, this is where I'm at.
that's right.
This is where I'm at. Because we're all human. So if you're one of those people who has a fear of getting in front of an audience because you're afraid you're going to forget something or lose your your train of thought. Welcome to the club. I do it all the time.
So
I use it.
let's talk about fear, if you don't mind.
I do
Um,
not mind because
that
it's there. Yeah.
as somebody who has been coaching technical presenters and non-technical presenters, let's be honest, my entire life,
Hmm.
um, the number of people I coach who do not have stage fright approaches zero. I don't care how many years you have been on stage. I don't care how many years you've been teaching your subject. If you are in front of a new audience, especially if it is a new topic you are presenting, it is practically universal that there is terror and panic in the performer. And so I will get these performers coming to me going, how do I get over this fear? Everyone else looks so calm and cool. And the first thing to understand is no,
Never.
nobody else is calm and cool. Everybody's panicking. So understand at least there that you're normal. In fact, it's the person who comes to me that is just cucumber cool and, you know, their heartbeat never goes above 55 beats a minute that I'm going, do you care about what you're doing? Do you care
Hmm.
about your audience? Because it seems to me like, you'd rather just be home eating popcorn than coming to do your show. So I want those nerves. Having said that, the next part of the conversation is how do you deal with those
Yeah.
nerves?
Yep.
It's one first thing is acknowledge you have them. Great. Second thing is acknowledge that you want them,
Yeah.
which is what surprises people. And here, this is now chemical. And some of you are doctors and medical professions. I don't want to tell you how to your biology. I'm going to dramatically simplify it. But the chemicals that cause stage fright, we'll simplify it and call it adrenaline. There's more, but it's adrenaline. That's the same chemical that athletes use when they want to perform well on the field, on the pitch. If you watch a great soccer player, football player, whatever you want to call it, whatever land you're watching this in, a great football player about to take the pitch, what is she doing? She's probably hopping up and down when she's there in the hallway ready for
Yes.
their national anthem to sing. That's intentional. That is her channeling the adrenaline through her body, letting her know, I've been here. And all of a sudden, that same chemical changes from run away to let's go kick some football booty out there.
100%. I am, you should see me before I get on a stage. I am moving around like crazy. I'm doing push ups. I am like doing high fives. I'm doing everything I can possibly do to just transform the energy into how I'm going to best serve my audience and excitement and energy. And it's so true, our body. So I always say, have a pre presentation ritual. What are you doing just before you get on stage? And you better not be reviewing your presentation. I have heard that advice from other people before, and it's terrible advice. So do not be reviewing. Be transforming that energy, those nerves, that fear into something that is going to transform into what you said, care.
That's right. So, and Meredith, the word ritual
Yeah.
is so valuable here. This is a football player. This is her bouncing up and down. This is the boxer before she enters the ring, and it's marching down the walkway, and she takes off the robe, and they bounce gloves. Now you take that same individual, that same fighter, and it's 11 o'clock at night. She's out at a bar and you smash a beer bottle over her head. First of all, don't do that. Why are you
No,
doing
why
that?
are
This
you
is a
doing that?
make believe scenario.
Yeah.
She is going to be all legs and arms and thrashing. It's not going to be the same controlled boxer that she is when she's in the ring because there was no ritual. It simply surprised her. And so it's all thrashing and clawing. And again, that's whether it's a guy or a girl, doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter. You surprise someone And that's when things turn into panic and rage and uncontrolled elements. But by going through the ritual, your body goes, I know where I'm at. I know what I'm doing. You know, you've gone through your vocal warm ups, you've gone through your stretching, and you can hit the stage, and all of those chemicals are working for you, not against you.
I love that so much. So let me ask you this question, because you have worked with a lot of people on site, right? So, like, whether that be reInvent or a summit that's a little bit smaller than that, what do you feel is the number one mistake people make?
Oh, um, as far as correctable mistake out of the gate, it's they spend their first couple minutes just talking about themselves.
Thank you.
That absolutely is a problem. You should come out of the gate immediately addressing who are you, the audience, not me, but who are you? What is your problem? How am I about to solve it? Let's get started.
Yes, and I love that you brought that up, Blaine, because I find that that is one of the most difficult things for people to change in their presentations, because it has been modeled to us
Oh,
presentation after presentation after presentation to hello, hi, how are you? My name is, I've been at Amazon for, 10 years, this, that, and the next thing. And then 5 minutes into the presentation, they finally get to why we're there.
yep.
And so I, like Blaine just mentioned, I'm also encouraging you, change that up. Do not start with who you are. Do not start with the salutations. We don't care. With all love, we do not care as your audience. And I will say it's uncomfortable.
It is because as a human, we want to be your friend.
Yes.
And this is where understanding the audience situational needs is completely different. If you're at a bar and you go, you've got the following problem and I'm here to solve this. Whoa, back off. Take 10 steps backwards. I am not interested in hearing that because that's not the purpose of being at a bar with you. I
No.
do want to know who you are and where you come from and how much that drink is and what are you drinking. And that becomes then a friendly conversation.
Yeah, because it'd be kind of weird if you were assuming my problems off the bat,
Exactly,
right?
which you want to mansplain some problems. That is not a good thing to do
No.
at a bar.
Mm-mm.
Um, But if I am at a conference where I have 45 minutes with you that I've chosen to be in your session, not this other session across the hall, and it was a coin toss which one I was going to. I
Yeah,
chose yours. Don't waste my 45 minutes talking about you. You are not important to me. Again, I love you, whoever you are,
I
but
love
you're not
you.
important to me yet until you start solving my problem. Now, about 15 minutes in, if you want to talk about the fact that you had that internship at Johns Hopkins where you were the resident there and you were able to solve this, and that's why you know this to be true, now your background matters to me. But only then in context with how it is solving my problem.
Thank you for saying that, Blaine. I think that is, if anyone who's watching right now can take away a nugget of wisdom, and I don't even care if you are if you're a technical presenter or not a technical presenter, I feel that those introductions across the board are important. It's not about you.
Well, I mean, let's go back to how we introduced ourselves here. I did not tell you that I've got degrees in theater and mathematics and computer science
No.
because none of those mattered in the first couple minutes. What did matter is that I am a speech professional, that I'm working with you because you as an audience, that's why you're here. The rest of that, we'll filter that in as we go.
Yeah, you can sprinkle those things in, those anecdotal stories. Right? So we had some comments when we were talking about the butterflies that I just want to bring up. So Bruce, good to see you. Butterflies are your friends. I would say that is so true. We have a LinkedIn user here who's going on stage never is easy. You don't know the energy in the room until you open your mouth. Oh, I always say it's that kinesthetic response. It's that give and take with that audience. It's almost like nature. And then Bruce agreed. So the nerves, I'm really glad we talked about that. I'm really glad that we talked about how to start a presentation and build that. I also feel that that circles back to the building of the trust that we were talking about, which is I'm going to trust you if you share with me why we're here off the bat and how you're going to solve my problem.
Yeah.
Um, and then the thing I remember what I was going to say earlier too, Blaine, when we were talking about subtracting in order, simplifying, less is more, is because I feel ultimately, if you want your audience to leave further researching the solutions, calling you because they want your solution, whatever it is that you're asking them to do, whether that's inspire or educate or buy, is that you want to leave them wanting more. You want to always leave them wanting more. You do not have to give them the whole enchilada or the, what is the other saying, the whole kitchen sink, that in the kitchen
Sure.
sink,
Yeah.
whatever it is. Leave them wanting more. And I feel that's really, really challenging for people. So, if anything, please start figuring out how you as the presenter can simplify.
Yeah.
Simplify, simplify, simplify. And so we have a few minutes left here, Blaine, and I want to talk about something else because I think this might be a little tit for tat fun conversation for us to
Okay.
have. How is it that you differentiate yourself? How can you disrupt? Because what I notice is that there's a cadence and a similarity, a sameness to a lot of the presentations that we see today, which is why our audiences, I feel, don't retain as much information as they could, regardless of how crafted and good you are as a presenter. So let's talk about
Mm.
what are ways we can be a pattern disrupt.
Wow. Okay. So I love that we're thinking about patterns and rhythms. And this is where you get into that primal subconscious conversation with your audience. We need to understand, if we look at the neurology of what causes your audience to behave a certain way, they think it's all up here in the cerebrum, and it's not. If you actually do the brain scan studies, most of our decisions to like things, like the reason we all know that Coke is better than Pepsi, we all know that, right? Um, we know it because our subconscious knows it, not because our cerebrum knows it. And no matter how much Pepsi wants to put money into the whole Pepsi challenge, let's do blind taste tests, none of that changes the fact that we know in our hearts what is true. Which is why it's so difficult as a technical presenter often, because you are fighting that subconscious, which in some cases has made decisions before you even get to the room.
Mm.
So when it comes to disrupting behavior, you have to communicate to that subconscious. And the way that you break that up is understand that the subconscious is really simple in what it understands. It understands its own self-interest, which is why you always want to talk in terms of what is your problem, not what's generic. Who are you? Which means you better know your audience. Are you talking to developers? Are you talking to content managers? Are you talking to nurses? You know, who is the specific person in front of you and what do they need?
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, the other things that trigger the subconscious is contrast elements. Don't ever just give me, it's got 240 bits. That means nothing. You have to compare it. What is it now? What is it with this product versus this choice? And the subconscious can understand things in comparison. The subconscious understands things visually. The visuals you present with you should not just be words, 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 but you should have the graphic elements there. This helps break up what the subconscious can absorb. The cerebral mind doesn't care if the subconscious doesn't care. And the subconscious can't read words.
Yeah.
So, visual elements, tangible pieces, having your beats that are broken up, unique beginnings and ends. This is where your skill as a performer comes in. Your skill as an improv artist comes in.
Yes.
Take your improv classes, because
Take improv. Yes.
seriously, you as technical presenters, what can you do to be better presenter? Take an improv class somewhere, because that'll
With
give you
me.
those. With Meredith, Meredith teaches it. It's wonderful. She got the skills, but that's going to give you those unique beginnings and ends that help give you those transitions. And then the most important thing is, don't be afraid to add the emotional impact. And you're saying, but I'm talking about routers. Yeah, everything. It's not a router. What is that router solving? And what does that mean to your infrastructure designer? Are they going to be able to do more of what they love because they've got a more stable router, a faster process? Tying in those emotions that are real, which you understand because you understand your customer,
Yes.
becomes that last part of tagging the subconscious. That's how you differentiate yourself from people that are just showing you all their buttons and all their speeds and feeds. Is you've attacked their self-interest, you've shown contrast, you've put visual elements on play, you've got unique beats, unique beginning and ends, and you've especially hit the emotional triggers.
Brilliantly said. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Blaine, I feel like we could probably talk for another 2 hours, 3 hours, maybe,
Let's
if
do
we
this again
had it.
sometime.
I would love to do this again. Would you be game?
Absolutely. This is the good part for me.
I love it. I love it. This has been a really fantastic conversation. Please follow Blaine on LinkedIn because I know you're active on there sometimes, right?
I'm not as active as I should be, but I'm definitely there.
You're there. If you happen to be in the AWS community, definitely follow both of us. Follow Blaine, even if you're not. Follow me, even if you're not. I do have a class called It's not a class. It's a program. It's called the Confidently Speaking Program. We do improvisation in there. There's also other amazing things that you will have and resources for you to grow as a speaker. Please do follow me here and then find me at Grundy Coaching at www.grundycoaching.com so that you can find out more about the services that we offer as well. Blaine, you're awesome. I look forward to seeing you at reInvent at the end of the year. And thank you for taking the time out of your very busy day to be here to share your wealth of knowledge with our viewers. So thank you
Always.
so